Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to have Adam Magyar here today, who's going to show his work from the last recent years. It's one of the big discoveries for me and a lot of people I know from the recent years. Some work, I don't know a single person who was not fascinated or, as everybody says, mesmerized by it. It's very interesting to see as well what's behind all this work, how it comes about, and it's a perfect melange of technology, artistic eye, and actually production of something coming together and producing a piece of work, or many of them, of course, which put you into a different kind of speed and time. And I think it's fair to say that's something everybody's missing in these days of speed. So I'm happy to let you to Adam and to show his work. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm not really visible, right? It's going to be like this. But you can guess where I am, right? So, yeah, thank you. So, thanks for coming, and I would like to say thank you for AA for the invitation. I'm happy to be here. For some reason, I didn't come to London too often, but it's a really fascinating place. I'm happy to spend these 20 hours here, and I wish I could spend a bit more. So my life as a photographer started pretty much with traveling. It was not planned, it just happened. I used to travel, I still travel a lot. I every year travel a few months and spend quite some time in places like India. And spend a lot of time with observations, just watching things and passing by. Verbally, I'm not really good, so I couldn't really talk about all those precious experiences that happened to me those years. As a result, I started to take photos. Kind of late. I was like nearly 30 when I started to think about it and take it serious and try to put all my thoughts into images. I was experimenting with pretty conventional black and white street photography for quite a few years. I try to find those precious moments, crop a little portion of reality and make it happen as a story on images. That's kind of how photography works, which is a really magical thing. But I kind of didn't like the process. And also, it was a bit misguiding for me because it was always just those kind of stories that were not true stories, but also I was not really interested in those human stories. I was interested the being itself and this continuity that we are part of it. And at some point, I started to experiment with techniques. And it was about around 2006 when digital technology, digital photography was good enough to almost replace analog. And the conversation was going on whether use digital or analog. It's not a question anymore, but at that time it was. And I was really interested in digital, but I didn't want to use it instead. I wanted to do something with it that was not possible with analog. I spent some time in Shanghai, 2006, and I started my series, the Urban Flow series there. This is the first camera that I built. It was made from a napkin box. It was not really stable, so it was the final version. And this is how the camera works. I bought a scanner. I took the sensor and put it behind a regular camera lens. And instead of moving the sensor over documents and scanning the documents, the camera is stationary, and I let light move in front of me, and I let light scanning itself on the images. So you can see on this explanation that white line is that single line of pixel that the camera can capture. It's a very incomprehensible little information that it's hard to be defined as an image, but if you render those slices next to each other, you receive a still photograph. This is not a new thing. It was developed in the 1930s for photo finish cameras. So since then, they've been using this technique at horse races and Olympic Games for scanning the finish line. This was pretty much the first software I wrote. So it was the control interface. The whole thing pretty much worked like a camera, although it was original scanner. So I could set up all those kind of parameters that you set up with a camera. I traveled to big cities, metropolises, because I wanted to capture this never-ending flow of being. This one is in Hong Kong. I really wanted to capture that kind of experience that I sort of saw sometimes, that just the whole thing is passing by and you just let it go and you kind of get out of this present and this future and past thing, and you just the whole thing is just flowing away in front of you. This one is Times Square, New York. You see the steam coming out from, say, what does it mean? Where the steam is coming out? Yeah, thank you. And there are a lot of details. I always try to capture details. You see this kind of motion, energies. This technique is able to capture only moving things, everything which is stationary, the background, appear as straight stripes and lines on the images because the camera captures the same information and the same pixel of the sensor. This is a bus stop in Hong Kong. You can see that the bus arrives to the station and stationary for about 1.5 minutes, and then leaves, and the camera captures the end of the bus, and you can see the traffic is still going on behind the bus. This is probably the only piece of this series with some nature on it. It's a big tree in the background. The dark part is the trunk, and I don't know what happened here. Let's see. And the upper part is the leaves, moved by the breeze slightly. And that's a wind here. A bigger wind came and shaded the branches. It was before a storm, I remember. So that's how we live, kind of, in this barcode system, very little particles in between the lines. Part of a kind of more complex universe. And because of the technique, everyone is always heading to the same direction on the images. It's because the horizontal axis is not about space, it's about changes in time. So actually everyone is heading towards the past, instead of heading from left to left or left to right. So you can see that everything that is heading to the opposite direction is mirrored. Which is a pretty nice effect on these images because we are all heading together to the same destination, the same destiny. This is Oxford Street, Christmas shopping. And these are a few new ones. I just captured them lately in New York. I really like this intensity. People are piled on each other. And I always felt like I'm one of them. That's why I always feel motivated in big cities, because I'm getting lost. And just for some reason it motivates me. I also like these urban structures and places because they are kind of superhuman places because we built them. They are not natural. So it's actually very natural. It's just the human nature. And then I stepped further with this technique. I spent a summer in New York a few years ago, and I realized that when the train arrives to the station, people act like portraits in the windows, the doors. They're ready to get off. And I made a test with the camera that I use for the flows. And the resolution was not good enough, so I had to make some research. And I found out that they use the same type of cameras in factories for quality checking. In that area, they call it line scan camera. And I bought one of those. And I went back to New York after I built a system and with using the camera, and I started scanning trains. So you'll see that the whole thing happens so fast. These are really fast cameras, and they can capture all those details from such nice fast movement. You don't see, I don't see anything, they don't see me. And I had a few problems because I had to realize pretty soon that they are not really empathetic towards people doing such projects on subway platforms. I was caught by the police very soon, probably the second day. And it was when I was waiting for my interrogation. I met a guy a few days before who had some issues with the police, and I asked him what the problem was because I knew that I was going to run into some sort of problems. And when I was waiting here, he accidentally passed by the booth and he saw me waiting in the police station. So he took this picture, and I found it on the internet. A few months later, he posted it. I ended up with a $25 penalty, so it was very gentle. And obviously I couldn't ask them whether I can pay it every day, and I keep working there. So I had to figure something out. So I put the whole thing together in my backpack, made an iPhone application to control the system, and then I worked like this, which actually doesn't look less suspicious, I guess. But since then, for some reason, nothing ever really happened. Again, with the security. To solve the images. What is really important to me is that the line is really even, because the whole image happens at the same spot. It is moving in front of you. So it captures line by line. It's captured line by line. So every single line is hit by the same light source. So that's why the light is so even. Otherwise, you could never really capture a train like that underground, because you have different light sources in such a huge object. It looks like as it was captured with using some huge softbox. And it makes it so chemically clean, kind of taking away that stinky and dirty subway feeling that we might feel if you look at a subway train. Because for me, it's kind of symbolizing the technology and the society around us, and we are all kind of trapped into this box or carrier or cage, depends how you want to look at it, and everything outside of it is pretty unknown, dark and blue. We have those silver line underneath. It's kind of the track that directs us. And I'm producing pretty large prints from these images. They carry a lot of details. As you can see, it's just so amazing that the whole thing is just rushing away so fast, and all these things just frozen in the motion and in time. This one is from Tokyo. It's a really crowded system. I love technical problems. And then I have to find solutions for them. I usually make like 10, 15 little applications for all of my projects. This is, for instance, one that straightens the images, because my camera is handheld. So if it's moving, it creates wavy images. So I made this one to make them straight. And so the speed of the train is not constant, but I'm recording with a constant speed. So there's a distortion along the horizontal axis too, which is a non-linear distortion. It keeps changing. So I have to make this little application that I could correct this kind of non-linear distortion with. And I always have a lot of problems with the light. Of course, because it's not enough, and also because it's flickering. This is how it should be, but unfortunately, the light is flickering that we don't see, but this is how it is. this one as well. So I got these horizontal lines on the images if they don't use high frequency. New York was okay because they use high frequency lights over there, but in many places they don't use it. So I made this little light meter that counted the cycles. So it was really easy to read green or flashing red. So I could send it to my friends before I went somewhere, so they could measure the light for me in the system, so I knew whether I could go or not. It was the instruction manual. I didn't take any advantage of this because I sent it to my friend to Tokyo, and he measured the light. It was really bad, but I wanted to go to Tokyo, capture the train so much that I just ignored the result. And I went anyway, and then when I sent it to Paris, it was lost. It never arrived. So I went to Tokyo, and although I hope that the device didn't work well, unfortunately it did, and the light was really bad. But my friend only measured the light only in like 4 or 5 stations, and I measured all, kind of. And I found 5 stations where the light was high frequency, so I could work there. But inside the train, the light was still bad, so I had to make this thing that get rid of them. It was really hard time to do this. I'm not really good at these kind of things. I'm not talking about this because it's important. I'm not doing anything precious technically. It's just part of my process. I just cannot really give it up until it works. So I'm doing photography and video, but I'm actually specialized on sleep deprivation. So a few more images from the series. This is Tokyo again. This one is Paris. I really like working in these situations because I like to capture neutral and natural images. Because as I said, I'm interested in being and existence in general. And I don't like any event happening on my images. I would like to see some sort of pure life and existence as much as it's possible. And we tend to ignore all these situations. We don't really take them as part of our life. When we happen to be there, we accelerate time, and we just don't consider it as life in a way. So this is the other reason. But it was. This is an exhibition shot. Lightwork, New York, 2013. So it was pretty. I think it was not really clear with these trains that this thing was moving, because it's really important aspect for me that the whole thing is happening with us. This is the main core of everything I do. That's what I try to capture and try to narrow it down. I'm not quite there, but that's what I'm trying to polish to capture something that when people look at my work, they feel that it's going on, it's happening to us. And with the trains, if you look at it at first time, you think that it's just a snapshot. So when you learn all this information, it's getting more interesting. But just looking at the work itself, you have to know, you have to learn about this, how it was made. and I started to work videos because I thought that it was going to make me able to deliver this idea. And I have a video chapter of the Stainless series. And I've been traveling to different locations, and this is another industrial camera that I'm using. It's a video camera. It's worked in a traditional way. It just captures a lot of frames instead of 30, 25, 24, 60. And I'm capturing the other side of the story. So I'm capturing people waiting for the train, and I'm capturing them from the train. And this device is able to see between the lines. We know slow motion videos, they use it for advertisement and movies, most likely for eye candy things. Something really, liquid kind of things. But using it for capturing life is pretty different. Also, I was experimenting with the speed, how slow it needs to be. Because I think making art is always balancing between things. So these videos are balancing between still and motion. If it would be a bit faster, it would be slow motion. It's a bit slower than that. So it's nearly still, but moving. And also balancing between happening and not happening. And common, but not common. I try to make something mysterious and precious from something that is just so obvious. And you understand it, but still don't understand. So this is a 2-second. This is a 2-second sound recording. So now this 2 second will be 2 minutes. And that's how it sounds and looks. I hope you don't mind if I share a few more details. These videos are 10 to 12 minutes long, so they were originally captured in 10 to 12 seconds. And I have 6 videos so far in the series, and I'm going to add a few more locations just to make a global coverage. So the previous one was recorded in Mumbai, and this is Beijing. I'll show you one more from New York. So this is the video, the stainless video series. I'm working on a new thing. It's entitled Array. This is my latest work. It's kind of summarizing everything that I've been doing before. Just sort of kind of marching together towards something, and the relentlessness of time that I'm trying to capture here. just descending people on stairs. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
You began by talking about continuity and a continuous flow of time, and you work in film and photography, which is a medium that we usually think of as working in the opposite direction of capturing a moment or a series of edited time. And I wondered if do you ever feel frustrated by the medium that you use? And I guess if you do, maybe that kind of... Do you ever feel frustrated by trying to capture a continuous flow of time with a limited medium? No, I suppose there's a second part, which is, I guess that if you do, then that's what generates you to make very incredible work. But I wondered how you felt about that.
No, I don't think I'm frustrated by that. Photography is a miracle, and it's actually always about. I don't think that it's on the opposite side. I think it's always about the same kind of thing. It's always about capturing things that happened. And this is the miracle part, that whatever kind of photography it is, it's based on something that was there. And it's still there, but not there, but it's still there. In terms of that, I don't think that I do anything else. Long exposure photography is kind of about, just extending the things. I'm also just extending all my works are based on motion capturing and not on the still ones as well. Even though the result is a still photograph, the process is motion capturing. No, I'm not frustrated.
Sorry. Hi, Adam. When you look at your work, do you see in it any echoes of work by others that you have enjoyed, by other artists or inspirations? When you look at your work, do you just see what you've done?
Say again, please.
Sorry?
I didn't get the question.
Yeah, when you look at your work, do you see anything that's familiar to you, something that might have inspired you once? Do you see that coming out in your work now?
Well, yeah, there are similar things for the flows. Other artists use slit scan photography since the 1960s. It was actually not, I didn't know about them when I started it. So it was not inspiring me because I didn't know that it was existing. I even didn't know about photo finish cameras at that time when I figured this out. So I was catching up lately that it was there. Well, it's so difficult question because we are inspired by things that sometimes we don't even think about. That it burned in our brain at some point. I don't really look at too much artwork, to be honest. I'm not proud of it. I'm pretty much ashamed. But so I said it, it happened to me that I wanted to do this. It was not a kind of decision that I started interested in art and I decided that I didn't go through that kind of educational process. So, but I'm pretty sure that I was. Like, the Metropolis, the German movie from the 20s, it's it's very similar to the arrays in a way, and I really like those moments, like many years ago, and I totally forgot about that it affected me. Just my friend brought it up to me, and he just said that there's a connection, and then I remembered, yeah, that those frames burn into my brain. So that's an interesting study sometimes to think about what inspires you, because normally I think that, well, no, nothing. That's just my life and my experiences, but obviously there are images around that I saw sometime, and just I realized that there's something that talks to me and starts working inside.
What do I say? You started with a series of pictures which were all very successful, and it looks that the aesthetic is very good. Do you feel that you'll become trapped in that aesthetic? Like, in your future works, they will all look the same as the earlier
you mean
ones?
that whether I think I'm going to keep doing this? Well, we cannot really change, essentially. Like, we are built up from certain essences, I think, and that's just what it is. So I don't think I can change the way I'm watching the world, or what makes me happy to see as something that I created. But still changing because I'm polishing it. So narrowing down where I'm heading, and it's not always like, you know, I know what I want to do, and I try to find how to form it. But I have a feeling, you know, and then I'm doing it to understand why I have the feeling to do that. It's kind of work hand by hand. Being trapped is an interesting question, because that's what I'm talking about, that we are trapped in this path. I'm not sure how much genuine choice we have in what we are doing. Obviously we do have, but I'm just playing around with this idea because I'm trying to understand, you know, these kind of questions, like whether I'm able to change, or I'm on this highway, or whatever, just lead me somewhere. So I can tell that I'm trapped in a way, but it's a sweet way, maybe. I mean, I have nothing to complain about this. I'm enjoying it. So I'm happy to be trapped in this. On the other hand, I'm open for changes. In terms of technology, using so much technology, I'm pretty sure that I would be really happy if I did something with conventional techniques. So we'll see how it goes. I don't want to be trapped in this technology world, because I don't like computers that much. They don't make me happy. It's an amazing device, but sitting in front of a computer all the time, and I have like 6 screens, and it's just not something that you know, makes me. It's part of the process, but all my ideas come from the time when I was waiting for the rain for 2 months, and finally it came. So this is something that I have difficulty nowadays to deal with, because on your path as an artist, you always have different phases, what you have to learn to deal with. And this is something that I used to have more time for experiencing and doing art than nowadays. Now I'm a full-time artist now, but it requires so much time and organization that I have actually much less time for doing art than before. And so experiencing. So this is, I mean, I find it interesting to find your way in this world, to be functional, a functional artist and a functional human being, dealing with all these big things. Like, you have to do something that is engaging and kind of working, and also you also have to function practically.
So do you feel you're experiencing less and producing more?
No, I'm never producing too much, because I never did more than, in average, I don't take more than 5 images a year. So it's not a lot. I mean, I'm preparing a lot for those shots before and after. The technical preparation takes a couple of months, or like on the video camera I've kept working on for 2 years. I always edit things. Like for 1 year I didn't really capture anything. I was just working on the camera itself. And then the post-processing also takes a lot of time, and the studying the spaces and the places and the locations. And I have to study a lot of interesting things, like when there are enough people, when there are not too many people, when the lights are good, where the lights are good, what time of the day, what about weekend, what about Tuesday afternoon. So it's a lot of preparation, which is part of the process. So I cannot say that, because sometimes I just do the actual thing in a pretty short time, but the whole thing around this takes a lot of time. So which is also kind of a creative process.
You said before that big cities motivate you. Why do you think that is? And do you ever feel intimidated or frightened by big masses of people and great cities?
Well, I'm from a fairly small town, like around 200,000 people, which is kind of a big village in a way. So when I started experiencing these big spaces with lots of things that, I think because you have the feeling that anything can happen. Like it's like when you are young, you know that anything can happen in your life. And when you're getting older, the scope is getting shorter, and you have less opportunities for things. It's kind of the same thing. It makes me feel, in a way, free. It's not frighten me. So I said that, I told that I can feel to be lost in a way, but being lost also means opportunity for finding something that is new. Because I don't know where I am, or I don't know what's going to happen. I think this is why. But this is a topic that I'm still searching for, why I ended up being interested in this too much. But at the moment, this is what I think.
In terms of shooting in big cities, I noticed something common between all your pictures is that even if you captured hundreds of people, all these people look lonely.
Yeah.
There is a certain feeling of, although they're present, all of them together at the same spot, but there's barely any interaction between them. Would you be interested in shooting, for example, in, I wouldn't say villages, but in places where you would have maybe less people to shoot, but more interaction between them? For example, to show a certain contrast between, because I feel like you're interested in shooting in these big cities, but one thing that's very obvious about all these cities is that all these people just go towards the same destiny, as you said, but they go to it alone versus going together in terms of interaction.
Yeah, this is a very important part of my work. No, I'm not interested in capturing that part. Because I think we are always alone in our body, in a way. Even though we are surrounded by family and friends, it was really important. We really need it as human beings. If someone says that he or she doesn't need it, it's probably a lie, because loneliness does happen to us. But at some point, we are always alone. And this is a kind of a metaphoric thing to express it this way, that although we are a lot, so many people here, but you do your own life. You feel your own life. No one else can feel what you feel. No one else. You can share something. They can feel empathy, but it's just you where the whole thing is happening. This is what I'm interested in, and this is very much connected to what I started with, the existence and the being itself. So that's why it's really important. I'm really looking for those situations where it happens like this. So if it doesn't happen like this, I don't like the result. Always. It has to be not too miserable, but yet a bit lonely, a bit dark in a way.
One more thing, sorry. There is also, I saw that you're also interested in the interaction between both points of views. For example, you're shooting from the train and you're shooting from the deck itself. I think what also would be interesting is sort of combining these two points of views into one artwork to see how it is to look at both sides.
Yeah, I thought about it actually to capture
I don't know how.
the two things and install it like in
Something-
parallel.
Something like
But I left the idea alone.
I just loved your work,
Thank you very much.
first of all. And the thing, I'm quite interested to know, like, is there any particular reason for not using any color on the...
Well, yeah. I didn't know the answer for this for a while. I think I was never thinking about this. Why? People kept asking me because it's kind of this question sometimes happen. Why black and white? And I never liked this question because I didn't know why. And I didn't know what to tell. But when I started to take the videos, I kind of understood, I guess, something about that. Because first of all, I fell in love with black and white. I really like the quality of black and white. And because I was doing this traditional, I had a little lab at home and I was developing, enlarging my own stuff. And I just really, really liked the quality of black and white. But I never thought about why. I think the thing is that because I'm capturing reality, and you see that it's really real, you can tell that it happened, it's real. But black and white kind of elevates it from that. It's, what I don't like about black and white is it's kind of like artistry. But I really like that it makes it a bit dreamlike, in a way. So it makes a distance between realities. And this is also, I think, a balancing thing that I like, that it's very real, but because there are no colors, it's taken away. I have a little problem with colors sometimes because it's a bit more commercial, in a way. I mean, we are surrounded by so much color images and noise. But I used to say that until I'm not really able to masterize black and white, how I could deal with colors. So, I don't know, I have only one project that was color, because it wouldn't make any sense, that one, in black and white. But I think I would use only color if it made sense to use it. But it also has technical reasons, because it's much easier to handle grayscale things. But it's also a good reason to use industrial cameras, because I'm not converting color into black and white that I don't like to do. If I captured color, I wouldn't like to convert it to black and white. So I capture black and white because these industrial devices see in black and white. I mean, it didn't make any sense what I just said now, but That's how I like to think about this.
But in like technical side, as you are very much technical about your stuffs, like in technical productions, they say that if you shoot in color, then you are having more pixels in post-production rather than shoot in black and white. So you're telling that you're shooting, you're doing your shoot in black and white. So in this case, do you agree in the technical stuff that they say that colors have more pixels rather than black and white?
Mm. I don't think that color photos have more pixels than black and white.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Since the resulting work isn't, they aren't scenes that you can view with your own eyes in real time, what memories do you associate with when you look at your own work, and what sensations of the process of recording do you like remember most vibrantly?
You mean my memories about these
Like,
recorded
yeah,
scenes?
when you look at your work, what memories does that bring up?
From the time when I recorded it, for instance?
Not necessarily, but I mean that's the second part of the question. But like the first part is, what do you think of when you see your own work? I guess, like.
Well, this is an interesting part because I don't remember anything, right? Because I didn't see anything. The whole thing happens so fast, you just see a blurred word, and then you go home and you see that.
Yeah.
After 2 days of processing. So this is a very interesting thing because I don't really have memories about those
And no one
those
can,
people,
no one can see those.
and they don't have memories of me either, right? So, but it still happens.
So what part of the filming or recording do you remember the most? Like the sounds, or do you observe specific people or smells?
Well, actually, capturing these images, either videos or photos, kind of stressful. It's not like that kind of creative process where you forget about the word and you just create. You don't want to forget about anything because you fell off, you make accidents, you die, you kill others, you are getting arrested or whatever. So this is work. So my memories are coming from more like when I was, preparing for them, or when I've thought about this before, or because I spent a lot of time in subway systems anyway, kind of specialized on this. Even before I started to capture anything, I always spent a lot of time in subway systems. I just kind of love it because it's like the vein system of the cities. It's usually really diverse and kind of the energy channels of a place, and so it comes together for but. So in terms of memories, these are summarizing those precious times for me when I was free, when it happened to me that I felt free. I cannot add anything to this sentence. I almost wanted to say happy, but it's not good word.
Hi, I really enjoyed your work.
Thank you.
I see that all the gesture is in your work, all the gestures are very archived, very detailed at the moment. But I want to ask that these days all the camera technology grows so fast. Even 10 years ago, 5 or 3 megapixel camera, we got a lot excited. But in these days, even iPhone 16 megapixel something, all the megapixels we are very thirst about it. do you think is it like a way of growth, the camera technology, its development, is it affect the like way of the project? I mean, represent the project. Is it like positive or like negative? Like, do you have ever feel any like thirst about you want to get the better the camera, like a better resolution, like a resolution like a satellite resolution? Have you ever felt about it?
Well, obviously try to take all advantages of technologies. I'm kind of lucky that I'm able to deal with these issues, so I can use devices that are not for photographers. So I can use them on. My toolbox is just a bit, you know. I enjoy my toolbox because I can do things that is not, you know, I don't have to find. I mean, I try to find solution, but if there's no solution, I try to make it. I really enjoy actually this thing. I'm not sure what I did if I was in the 60s with pot meters and I don't know. So I'm kind of, you know, you have to live in the right age for yourself. I think in terms of that, I'm pretty lucky. But otherwise, I'm not really crazy about big pixel numbers. And also, I don't think that, even though I use a lot of technology, I think my visuality is just as important. I use technology as a tool, but I work a lot on these videos, like, because they have to be in a certain way. Many of these videos I'm working on for weeks, to go back every day to the same location, the same place, the same time, until it works. So I use technology and I talk a lot about technology, but I don't think this is my drive to do things, put things together, and then try to find an image for that. I have the image in my mind, and I try to find the right technology for capturing it. I don't know. Did I answer the question? Yeah? Thank you.
You say you capture, in a way, the real, or that which is there, you just capture it, but it's a moment you never see yourself. And, I mean, maybe my question is twofold. One more practical, like how many tries, takes do you have, and how much, because you refer to your process a lot, how much editing is involved? Because in a way, what fascinates me, mostly like in the videos, for example, are these moments where you don't know, it's almost like, it's almost a mise en scène in a way. If there's like all of a sudden you have a t-shirt that says witness, and you don't really know, like, is this like, did you put the guy there to tell me that I'm witnessing something? Or there's, like in Berlin, the little girl running at almost the same pace. So it almost seems, I mean, also partly kind of influenced by the music that almost comes into existence just through you elongating the sound. So it seems almost as though the story is unfolding. Do you edit it that way? I mean, is that something that you try to achieve, to have kind of a...
Well, I always buy funny t-shirts to people and give them away. No, actually, that one is actually bothering me. I'm not happy for those things. No, because it's too direct, it's too obvious. Yeah. Sometimes things like that happen, and it just fits into that, but I don't like to, you know, I don't like if it's too direct, because it's misguiding again, you know. I don't want to talk about that sort of things, like where this word, like witness, can lead us. Talking about security cameras or what, you know, like privacy, you know, like these kind of things. But otherwise, it depends. Sometimes it's 2 shots, sometimes 200. Depends. Look, it's like when I explore the place where I would like to work it, I feel some kind of energy in that location. So some locations have that sort of quality of energy that I know that it has the potentiality that this kind of manifestation of this city crowd, the way I like it to be, might happen. And then I start working there. But I always know that this is the place where it's going to happen. And it's not always about just number of people. Sometimes just places don't have that kind of thing. I cannot really explain it. It's not so mystical. I mean, it's just the way I usually feel about that. Because when I'm selecting the place, I also try to understand why I think that it's going to be good here. Did you ask anything else?
No, but I could pick up just for a moment. Because for me, this question of you capturing the real or not, because you capture moments that do not exist in a way outside of your camera capturing them, because you cannot perceive them the way they are.
Yeah.
And through that, you kind of create links between things that might not, I mean, even in your long kind of scans, all of a sudden you have something connected that is not necessarily connected in whatever we refer to as reality or so. All of a sudden people kind of form a freeze or something that are just passing by. So how do you, how do you feel about this question of you being, do you consider, because I see a slight difference to just a photographer, because you say you crop an image or you frame an image, but you, in a sense, to me, there seems to be a bit more than that, because it's, I don't know how you feel about that.
I know what's going to be on the images, always. Mm-hmm. It's planned, it's cropped, everything is set up. I just don't know exactly what's going to happen. And there are a lot of magic happening around us, always, in every single moment. And this is one of the kind of message that we miss this all many times. We just miss many moments in our life that we just not looking at it. It's in front of us. We think that because it's not precious, because it happens all the time, it happens every day, not interesting, and we live forever. That's what we think, that this week is going to last forever. Or if not this one, the next one will. By the way, the girls, that was a gift. Because I was preparing for the shot for 3 weeks. Kept going back, and that was the first one that I did. And then I had permission from the subway company in Berlin. And I had one morning, and that time the camera was very different than now. I could capture only, I could use it only for like 40 minutes then. Now I can use it for like 9 hours, but that time was limited, and I had like 4 shots. And I'm also on this video later, standing on the platform, capturing the train. Because it was an illustration for my train photo series. So I wanted to capture how fast the whole thing is happening. So one of my friends was handling the camera, and everything was set up. And I went on the platform, and I was standing there with my camera capturing the train. And these 2 girls just were running at the front of, at the beginning of the platform, explaining exactly what's going on, because otherwise people look like wax figures on the videos, but they are just absolutely out of this whole scenery. They are alive.
Hi, the work was really fascinating. I thought that the 2 seconds actually had millions of seconds within each person. It has a depth. Really enjoyed it. But the question is a bit more practical. I visited your website last night, and there were other series of work from top.
Yeah.
So that kind of aerial view of people. And I don't know how you did it, because it was so gridded, and it's is it a different series?
They are digital compositions. So everyone was captured one by one.
But why do that? Because otherwise, all the other series were a moment,
Yeah.
or just elongating moments, but the real. Well, how did you decide on that series to edit?
Yeah, well, there's a reason why I don't really talk about that, because it was an interesting game with space and time, but it has much more aesthetic parts than these works. And when I was doing that, I was doing it in parallel with the flows, the long images. So they were kind of like a brother and sister project. But that series doesn't have those kind of layers behind. It didn't reflect that much what I wanted to talk about. It was fascinating for me that time to creating these endless urban spaces, kind of the same thing. Everyone is individual, no interaction, and we are just part of the same system as little gears. But for me, it was never as complex as these works. But I enjoy doing that.
Last one. How many languages do you speak?
Well, I think I speak only one language, well, that's my mother language, Hungarian, and I speak somewhat okay in English. And I used to speak a little Hindi. That was enough to get around. Because
How many languages of software do you speak?
how many?
How many software languages do you speak?
Oh, that's what you meant. Well, I use this and that. I usually, most of my stuff is done in C, pure C, and everything around like what you need to make it alive for the user interface. And most likely I use Coco, but I'm not really good at these. It just kind of works at the end for some reason.
It's like where's the universal language going? And then you used to talk about human being, the moment, and it's quite
Bit about
call it funny that your main language in the end is C# or Python to fix the image of the moment. But anyway, the system. Just a question.
yeah, I don't know about these things. I'm not even following what's going on.
Yeah. Maybe as a final comment, I mean, the interesting thing is that your work seems to be one of the only one I know, actually, which can, at one point, kind of stop time, but at the other point, makes us really look. And that's quite a difference in painting, in sculpture, in photography, in film. You never look at a person, really. I mean, your eye scans around and things like that. You really have to make yourself look. Whereas in your works, in a quite funny way, even though it's just split seconds, you really look at a person and you follow it and kind of stop breathing as well. I mean, you could hear it or not hear it in the room, it was dead silent, and then everybody was just like, stop breathing. And I think that's quite interesting how you, because of this, it's almost like a sculpture in movement, but yeah, you're a little bit the Nemo of the kind of photography, make time stop, so we can look, but not look like at something, but actually start understanding a person maybe, even though they are not even aware of it.
Thank you for the comment. I think when I do something, it needs to be engaging, because otherwise people don't look at it. You might have a good concept, a good story, But the book needs to be page turning, because if people don't want to read it, they don't want to read your lines, and they won't get the message. So I think, as a visual artist, I have to try to make my works in a way that they put people in the story. With the videos, I think it works also because you're losing them. So if you look at a photo, it's there. It's going to be there. So I can look at it later, in a way. But it was a really rough statement. So it obviously doesn't work like that if you are interested in photography and you understand the different values of photography. But in terms of talking to people, I think it's a very, maybe this is something that makes it working, that you lose all these portraits, all these stories, because the next second you lose them, so you just keep watching and you get a new load of information and data. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.